for Bills Mafia, I imagine that 2020 was pretty much everything that you could have imagined. Josh Allen taking a massive leap into his development in his third year, and the Bills giving him as much support as he can by trading for Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Stephon Diggs during that 2020 offseason before the pandemic riddled season began. And Stephon Diggs, mind you, was a massive help for Josh Allen's growth and a big add to a receiver group that only really had Cole Beasley as their main guy. And the Bills went 13-3. Allen playing at the MVP level, but he's only at his peak at this time until we saw what happened this season that we're going to be talking about. And the Bills actually managed to get as far as to the AFC Championship game before they fell to the Kansas City Chiefs. But even then, the future looked bright for the Buffalo Bills. And they didn't really do much during the last offseason, this past offseason last year. And while yes, they could have used more defensive pieces, they had already had most of the roster still under contract, and they also signed Josh Allen to a long-term extension. You're clearly seeing a lot in him, and to an extent, yes, that was true. Now, mostly everyone came back, but not many new additions. Now, for the Bills, they hope this time around they do even better this season. They go into the playoffs, go much deeper than, we're just going to beat Kansas City again. And this time, go to the Super Bowl for the first time in nearly 30 years. Now, they didn't get off to the greatest of starts. They lost a home opener to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first week of the season, and they were pretty flat on all shapes and sizes, but they managed to bounce back for 4 straight wins. And that win included a early season revenge game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills blew them out. The Bills defense picked 6 Patrick Mahomes. Pretty good win. And Josh Allen played lights out over Mahomes in that game. Now, after that, they underwent a stretch of inconsistency and pretty much the rest of the way. Inconsistent offense, very slow starts from that same Josh Allen offense, and some odd decisions from Sean McDermott in certain games, which led to some pretty bad losses against the Tennessee Titans, the New England Patriots in that very bad weather game, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and let's also mention those losses to the Josh Allenception Jaguars, and yes, getting single-handedly steamrolled by Jonathan Taylor at home. Those 2 losses are pretty much inexcusable for the Buffalo Bills. It's pretty much like the problem was for the Bills is that while Josh Allen was playing at a all-time level, pretty much at certain points, the defense and wasn't doing their part either, and there are also times where Josh Allen himself, he had a few bad games as well. So fortunately for the Bills, they get a very favorable 4-game stretch to end the season, getting revenge on New England, clinch the AFC East after they lost to the Miami Dolphins, and they get a 3-match at home with the Patriots to begin their playoff stretch. And boy, did they need the Patriots at home, literally, because in that wild card game, they put the candy-ass whooping on Bill Belichick. Josh Allen and that offense scored on every damn single possession that they could on New England, scoring touchdown after touchdown and limiting New England to just 14 garbage time points. Literally had the Bills defense, contained Mac Jones just a little bit, this could have been a complete shutout. This literally could have been a complete shutout by the Buffalo Bills in that wild card game. Like, holy hell. Who could have expected the Bills to completely destroy Bill Belichick in a playoff game? Who knew? But of course, we all knew what happened after that. You get to the divisional game, you have to face Kansas City again to get to the AFC Championship game, let alone host the AFC Championship game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you were just seconds away. All you had to do was play defense after Josh Allen gave you another lead with just 13 seconds remaining. And all the Bills defense had to do, especially Sean McDermott, had to dial up a good play call for them, but he didn't. And Patrick Mahomes got Travis Kelce wide open, got into field goal range, set up overtime, and we knew what happened from there. They lost the overtime coin toss, and Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, went marching straight down into Bills territory and got the win from there. Now, I know some people are complaining about, they should change the overtime rules and all that, but the fact of the matter is the Bills defense came out flat. They gave away too many yardage, too many points to Mahomes and the Chiefs. They just gave up too many big plays. That was the common theme for the Buffalo Bills throughout the late stretch of the season. Now, sure, they lost starting corner tre'davious White in the secondary, which in my opinion was kind of a big loss to that Bills defense. And still kind of not a big excuse when still have starters like Levi Wallace and Micah Hyde and Jordan Boyer in that backfield, defensive backfield, mind you. And I guess it just wasn't enough. For either one of those guys to hold the unit together. And could they have used more pass rush help from the likes of Mario Addison and Ed Oliver? Sure, but I guess the Kansas City Chiefs just couldn't get it done. Now, the season as a whole, for Buffalo, mostly okay. I think a lot of this season success had to do with Josh Allen again, playing at an even better level than he did in 2020, despite some down games. And Stephon Diggs had another good year as well, but I think Stephon Diggs also got some much needed help from the emerging likes of Gabriel Davis, a second-year receiver, and tight end Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox had a much better year than whatever the tight end duo was in 2020. And Gabriel Davis really came on in that divisional game when Stephon Diggs wasn't doing well. Like, he didn't show up for that game. So the problem was for the Bills, aside from the defense, was their running game. Like, neither Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, or whoever they had coming in, they weren't really netting any positive yards. They couldn't really break open for a big run other than just, we got to convert this first down. Hence why viewers often saw Josh Allen running more than he should have. And hopefully going to 2022, Sean McDermott makes Josh Allen run just a little less, intentionally. So overall, the Bills did have a great year from Josh Allen, played at an MVP level. A lot left to be desired from the rest of the team after an 11-6 record and yet another heartbreaking loss to Kansas City. Now, going to the offseason, and they initially were over the cap, around minus $5 million. They managed to get over the cap with some restructuring and some releases. Some of the key free agents heading into pre-free agency included some edge rushers, Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison, a little bit on the older side. Interior defensive lineman Vernon Butler, right tackle Bobby Hart, Levi Wallace, and backup Mitch Trubisky. Now, some of the key offseason moves, the biggest one obviously being getting Broncos and Rams linebacker Von Miller. That's going to be a big get. Sure, they overpaid for him, but it's going to definitely help the Bills in the pass rush. They got a proven name. They got a former Super Bowl MVP and a two-time Super Bowl champion who's just coming off his second Super Bowl win. They also got another offensive lineman for Josh Allen and Roger Saffold, a little old as well, but you want to have a veteran presence in protecting Josh Allen. They also signed some receiver depth in Jamison Crowder, and as well as getting some help for Dawson Knox in the rotation in OJ Howard. So taking a little bit of a flyer on him as well. But they managed to lose Levi Wallace and Mitch Trubisky to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, okay, you're going to see Mitch Trubisky at home next season anyway, so we'll see how he does. So right now, they're around $2 million in the cap. So they have to make some money to sign some of their draft signings. So they're currently slated to pick at number 25, and I think some of the things that they have to address throughout the rest of the offseason, including the draft, is their secondary, because, well, they got torched a good number of times this past year, especially when Tre'Davious White went down, and that included the divisional game against the Chiefs. They gave up way too many big plays, and had they made like a critical pass breakup or an interception on Mahomes, well, that could have been a difference maker. That could have been a big difference maker. And hopefully they use one of their mid-round or late-round picks to strengthen their cornerback room. They should also add another defensive lineman. Sure, they already have Von Miller, but they haven't signed back yet Mario Addison or whoever the other. Vernon Butler. So they haven't signed any one of those guys back yet. But they should get some more help in the interior pass rush by getting another D lineman to just help out Von Miller and Ed Oliver. They also could use more upgrades on the offensive line in terms of the rotation. Now, they were good in protecting Josh Allen last season, but it could still use some work. Make it an open competition, especially in terms of creating a running game per sorts, so Josh Allen doesn't have to run it a million times in 2022. So adding Roger Saffold was nice, but Buffalo should consider finding a quality lineman in the draft. And nothing comes up, maybe there's still some like free agents out there that can go for the bargain, go for the cheap price. Whoever wants to try and win the championship with Buffalo, we'll see. So, despite some tough losses, the Bills look like they're gonna finally outdo the Chiefs in 2021. But the defense wasted what was an all-time performance from Josh Allen in that divisional game, and ultimately an all-time season from Josh Allen. Sure, it's not like crazy shit from Josh Allen, but he was literally the glue that held everything together for Bills Mafia in 2021. Now, certainly, yes, the Bills upgraded their defense by adding Von Miller, but that's only in the defensive line. They still have some things to do in the secondary and the rest of the defensive line to get the Bills over the hump and get Josh Allen to his first ever Super Bowl. And that's not going to be easy. They're still over the cap, not over the cap, a little under the cap. And the AFC is crowded as fuck now. So if they're going to survive that crowded AFC, if they're going to be the top dogs this coming season, they're going to have to improve that scrambled egg defense.